And joining us is the state senator from the 30th District in Connecticut, Andrew Rorabeck. Senator, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dan. Nice to be with you.
Always a pleasure. And today, ladies and gentlemen, the senator announced that he is going to seek the Republican Party nomination for the 5th Congressional District. And, Senator, I guess congratulations are in order that you're tossing your head into the ring.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. We had a great event up in Goshen. The sun came out, and a large crowd turned out to support me as I jumped into a very exciting race, and looking forward to getting a message out to all the people of the 5th District as to why I think that I can represent them at the U.S. Capitol.
Well, why did you decide to enter the race?
Well, my wife and I, we have a 2-year-old son, and we had a lot of conversation about whether the timing was right to do this. And quite frankly, I got into the race because we have a 2-year-old son, and we want him to have a country with opportunity, prosperity, and hope. And quite frankly, I think that I, like most Americans, look at the United States Congress today and am very disappointed with what I see. And I think we need to change Congress one congressman at a time, and I think I have something to offer.
Now, there are 4 other announced candidates for the GOP nomination. How are you going to separate yourself from the pack?
Well, I think I'm going to separate myself from the pack by virtue of being the only one of the candidates who has legislative experience. For 18 years, I've had the pleasure of representing the people of Northwest Connecticut in the Connecticut General Assembly, and I have a record, and it's a record I'm proud of. And I think that we need a congressman who can hit the ground running, who knows the issues and the personalities, and someone who is equipped to begin the job on day one and to deliver results.
One of the candidates for the GOP nomination in the 5th, Mark Greenberg, his response to that is just what we need, quote, another career politician. What do you say to that?
Well, Mark obviously doesn't have a clear understanding of Connecticut's legislature. I wish that being in the legislature was a full-time job, but in fact, I've held a full-time job in the real world the entire time that I've been serving in the General Assembly. So, to call a member of the Connecticut General Assembly a career politician just reveals a pretty deep misunderstanding of Connecticut state government. And if Mr. Greenberg doesn't understand state government, one wonders the degree to which he understands our national government.
Senator, we're at a crossroads in this country. Where do you think we're headed?
Well, I think that 2012 is going to be a defining election for we as a country. If we don't restore what America is all about to both the White House and the United States Senate and the United States Congress, I think that the United States may look like Greece. And what we're seeing in Greece is not a pretty picture. We're seeing a lot of civil unrest, a lot of rioting, and a lot of blood in the streets. And I'm fearful that if we don't put this country back on a sane track, we may find ourselves in very unhappy times.
Of course, part of this entire picture when you are a candidate, and then if you get elected, an incumbent, is raising money. You've gotten a bit of a late start. How do you plan to overcome that?
By working twice as hard as every other candidate in the race. Dan, raising money is the least appealing part of this process, but it's a necessary part of this process. I have the grassroots support, and I'm going to be reaching out to all of my friends and supporters from every corner of my life, and my friends have indicated a willingness to help me do that. So, we're going to be spending a lot of time assembling the resources we need to get our message out to all of the voters in the 5th District.
Not you necessarily, although the question is directed toward you. How difficult is it to go out and ask for money?
Well, if you're a frugal Yankee like myself, who was brought up in a household where you just didn't talk about money, it's hard. But when the cause is so important, when the stakes are so high, I am going to overcome my shyness and ask people to contribute. They're not contributing to me personally. They're contributing to the future of our country. And I have a website, www.rorabackforcongress.com, and on that website, people who share my views can make a contribution. And every contribution counts, Dan, whether it's $5 or $2,500. Every contribution is a statement that people want to see our country returned to prosperity and opportunity.
How can we return to prosperity and opportunity?
Well, I think we need to come to what I think is an obvious realization, which most of my friends share, which is we can't spend our way to prosperity and we can't tax our way to prosperity. Growing the federal government is counterproductive to the American ideal of entrepreneurship and job creation. We have to make some very tough choices in Washington, and we have to stop being all things to all people.
Talking with Senator Andrew Rohrbeck of the 30th District, who announced today that he's seeking the Republican Party nomination for Congress in the 5th Congressional District. Senator, this has always been considered a swing seat, so to speak. How do you view it?
Well, I think it's a seat that certainly can be won by the right Republican candidate. And, I have been in the legislature for 18 years. In the 18 years that I've been here, I have never missed a vote. I've been here for 8,468 consecutive votes. And I think the people that I represent work hard, and I've tried to be a reflection of the people that I represent, and I've worked hard at this job. And I think the voters of the 5th District are a discerning lot. I think that they will look at the candidate before they look at the party, and they will look and see, does this candidate share my values? Does this candidate, is he going to bring the kind of common sense to Washington that has been in such short supply for such a long time?
You mentioned that you have a full-time job. You also serve in the state legislature. Where are you going to find the time to handle those two jobs and also run for Congress?
Well, I think you've heard the old adage, if you want something done, ask a busy person to do it. Like everybody else, Dan, I'm keeping a lot of balls in the air, staying up a little later than I should, probably waking up a little earlier than I should, but I'm going to manage my time as best I can. I'm going to continue to be the best state senator I can be, and I'm going to use my free time to get my message out to the people whom I hope to represent in Washington.
That said, there's a big jobs session coming up next week. What's your take on that session?
Well, I'm actually at the Capitol now, and we're going over line by line some of the initiatives that are included in the jobs proposal. And, I think there's a lot of questions that remain unanswered, but whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, everyone wants to see more employment opportunities for the people of Connecticut, and I hope that we can come up with a package that accomplishes that objective.
What about the Jackson Lab plan?
Well, that, too, is a very complicated proposal that is generating a whole lot of questions, many of which, or some of which, remain unanswered. And we're going to be giving a great deal of scrutiny as to whether that investment makes sense in the long term for the people of Connecticut.
What are your concerns with the Jackson Lab plan? Do you have any?
Well, I think we need to look very carefully at the projected job creation numbers that are being put before us. I mean, we're being asked to invest $300 million, public tax dollars, in a proposition which will only have 300 permanent full-time jobs directly associated with it. We have to determine whether the spin-off jobs and the ancillary jobs are likely to really come to fruition.
Senator, as always, a pleasure. We thank you for spending some time with us. Good luck on the campaign trail and in this upcoming special session, and I'm sure we'll talk down the road.
I look forward to it. Thanks, Dan.
You take care. State Senator Andrew Rohrbeck.